This is Hunt Nebraska, the official podcast for insight into Nebraska's hunting and shooting sports community. Be sure to give us a follow on Facebook, our space for sharing stories, information, tips, and techniques. Now, Hunt Nebraska.
Welcome back to another Hunt Nebraska hangout. We've got another full cabin here. And, hey, real quick, that's Jeff Rawlinson, Nebraska Game and Parks Commissioner, our good friend from the National Wild Turkey Federation, the Nebraska R3 coordinator. In fact, Mr. Hunter is behind the buttons and the microphone today there. And how you doing, Hunter?
I'm doing good.
Good,
Ready to
I
click
appreciate
some buttons.
Appreciate you being here today, too. That's been great. And then we've got Hunter Ed's own Jackson Ellis. Me, I'm just Hershey, but again, this is something we love doing, talking about hunting, and we appreciate you letting us into your car, your home, your office, wherever you might be listening or watching. Make sure you give us a subscribe to help us out a little bit, and tell us what you want to hear us chat about next, because we're always looking for some fun topics. In this group, no shortage of opinions, or even if we don't have them, we'll come up with one.
Even if they're not founded on any fact whatsoever.
Yeah.
We still have
Exactly. Exactly.
We proved that.
Thank you, Jackson. Thank you.
Today, guys, we're going to be tackling kind of an interesting topic. All right. And in typical guy fashion, it's just dudes in here. Can I say that? Is that allowed? All right.
You just did.
Yeah,
I did.
Now.
It is officially Women's History Month.
Ooh.
And we've got an all guys show. So if that isn't
well played,
if that isn't a dude thing, I don't know what is. And we brought beverages. The first time we've been able to drink in the cabin, we kind of had a no drink policy there for a while, other than coffee. But we're going to have some fun with this, because I know, even though we're all guys, there's been some gals, some women, some females that have really been instrumental in getting us outdoors, probably even keeping us outdoors at times. And so we're just going to have some fun with this. We've got our beverages right here. We're going to kind of go around and talk about some of those. We don't have to mention names. You can you can keep it pretty general if you want to, because I think there's some that we share, and we're going to find out about that right here, because we're going to toast to these ladies and gals that we know in our lives, either directly or indirectly, that are helping make things happen in the great outdoors here in Nebraska and beyond, because it's one of those things that, argue with me if you want to, but I do think that you make the decision to become a hunter or a shooter or an angler or what have you, but it takes some support. It does. It's not just something that you can stick with for very long, especially if you want to be, on good terms with other people at times.
Starting at a young age.
It starts at a young age.
Yeah. That support is very important at a young age to any outdoors person.
So what we're going to do is we are going to kind of go around. Jeff, we'll start with you. And just mention either a person or, a general in terms or specific terms, I guess. And if we agree, we're going to raise a toast to them. All right? So if you don't raise a toast to them, you're going to have to defend why you didn't.
And folks, I was going to say, I might get fighting in here.
The one thing,
since I'm in charge, there'll be no fights. I'm always right. Just keep that in mind, guys.
The one thing I'm going to toss out there for our listeners and our watchers is, since we're doing this on the clock and we work for either a great organization or the state of Nebraska, non-alcoholic beverages is what we had to go with. We had to have that, which is probably different than other podcasts.
Non-alcoholic Pepsi Zero right here.
I don't know if you saw my face a minute ago, but I took a sip of my chocolate milk and it's sour. So I'll be toasting, but I don't know if I'll be drinking it.
That's a bum deal.
What's the date on that milk?
March 13th. I picked it up this morning from the gas station. So
that's a bummer.
Go get another one later.
Coke Zero always, or Pepsi Zero always not sour.
I was going to say, I was lucky to have some A&W cream soda. My daughter had gotten this last weekend, and there was an extra one, I think, kind of fell back in the backside of the fridge she didn't see, so I grabbed a hold of that.
That really looks a lot like cream soda.
Cream soda, yeah, it does. You got the bubbles in there.
Yeah, got it all.
And everything.
All right, we're starting.
All right, well, first of all, we know you got Pepsi Zero. We got sour chocolate milk, cream soda, and then Jackson.
It's kind of a coffee concoction.
I mean, look at that small. That's a
Is that
fancy little
is that
coffee
like a
cup.
foo-foo drink, or what are we talking
This
about?
is made by myself. It's actually you're gonna make fun of me because you always do about this stuff, but it's a little bit of protein powder in my coffee.
It's one way to do it.
So,
You see him in there grinding steak. It's just, he gets that protein powder in there. It must work for him. But I'm not gonna say anything. Hey,
Whatever beverage of your choice.
that's right. That's right.
That were the
not gonna
rules.
critique anything.
No, we won't. But it'll be interesting to get him to drink more.
Yeah.
All right, so Jeff,
All right.
kick us off.
Mom.
Oh,
Mom.
yes, the moms. The moms.
My
Yeah.
mom was very instrumental in me getting outdoors. In fact, she couldn't wait to get me outdoors.
See, I think that was part of it for some of us.
But she was very instrumental in my, I would come up with the craziest things, or come home with stuff that I don't know what I was thinking, Mom, you're going to cook this crow. But she would always find a way to help me figure out what to do with it. But she was very supportive of my outdoor endeavors from the time I was just running around in the yard to the times I started going out hunting and fishing, all that kind of stuff. In fact, I remember her driving me to the pond and drop me off and let me fish just all day long out at the pond there, and then come back and pick me up. And then I started riding my bike out there. But and she was very encouraging. I mean, very encouraging. And so, and like I said, I'm sure, to her benefit, get me out of the house. It had to be a smart move on her part. But bottom line is, I don't think I'd have probably hooked on it as fast as I would have had it not been for Mom.
Amen. I think moms that find ways to get their kids outdoors is big, and I think it's gotten tougher.
I have to agree.
Because I think there's kind of that push for a lot of parents. I got to protect my kids.
Oh, yeah.
Keep them inside. Keep them where I know they're safe and sound and all that good stuff. But for the moms that do try to get them in the backyard, get them at the park, tip of the fedora to you.
Yeah.
Now, do you guys? My mom did not hunt. She still doesn't. You guys have hunting mothers?
So my mom does not hunt, but she is giving it her all to make sure that I can get out there, and she has tried to make it. So little backstory: my mom's a horse lady. That's her thing, horses. And when she was little, animals. And I know. Yeah. And so going back to when she was a kid, I mean, she was for a couple of years. She was a certified PETA member. There's a great. Just let me finish.
There will not be a link to that site.
There's this great story from when she was a kid. She'd go to the pet store and buy the mice that were supposed to be feeder mice for the snakes, so that she could save them. Oh yeah, I've got stories like this that go. Yep. So then she was, I guess you could say, blessed with 2 boys. And things changed rapidly.
So you raised your mom.
Yeah.
Way to go, Jackson. Way to go.
So, she has now been in the field. She's come turkey hunting with me a couple times. For a couple of years in high school and through college, we would do a Mother's Day weekend turkey hunt.
Awesome.
She tells a great story. The first time she came out with me turkey hunting, I was probably 14 or 15. She had to drive, and actually going turkey hunting one year on my learner's permit, I got my first speeding ticket. That's another story though. Yeah. So anyways, the first time we went turkey hunting, we get out there and she's like, listen to her tell the story is great. She's like, I want to be the best turkey hunter, and I want to be super quiet and super still, and I want to, she's listening to me talk about turkey hunting, and we get out there in this afternoon hunt, and sun beating down. It's a beautiful spring afternoon, and she's like, I'm trying so hard not to fall asleep. She's like, I'm trying so hard to be the best hunter and to be attentive and to be paying attention. And she goes, she's fighting it, and she looks over at me at one point, and I'm out cold. And she's like, I see how this works.
It takes a while to learn that technique, that strategy of when to snooze.
And when to snore, to call in the big toms.
Yep. So that's one of my favorite stories.
Well, and that's what
awesome.
Moms bring to the table. I mean, they do a lot for their kids.
Oh my
right?
gosh.
In a lot of cases, and sometimes stepping out of their own comfort zone. We've got some great examples, Hunter, within our archery program of youngsters that kind of grew up in a non-hunting, non-shooting sports family. Not that they were against it, but they just didn't do it. And the kids getting involved in one of those mentoring programs, in this case, the archery mentoring program. And then all of a sudden, mom and dad kind of seeing, boy, that archery stuff, that kind of looks fun. And pretty soon, they're teaching archery. I mean, they've learned it, they've got into it, now they're archery instructors. So moms do a whole bunch.
There ought to be a hall of fame for mamas.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yep. No doubt about it.
So I've gotten my mom out. Well, excuse me, my brother got my mom out turkey hunting as well. She's probably a good luck charm. I've never been able to get her out myself, other than I helped coordinate that one. Have you gotten your mom out hunting, Hunter?
I have not. I think that would be a pretty big challenge to do that. But that being said, she has been a big supporter of me and my brothers and father hunting, fishing, snowmobiling, whatever it be. She's always the one to be there and support us. And, you know, I mean, we go away for weeks on an end, and she's supports us going out and doing what we love. So, and then on the other note, she has a big social media presence. So, you know, moms and how proud they are when their kids do great things. So she's always supporting us, you know, through her network there too, sharing pictures, sharing stories. She loves that part. So she definitely supports it and has been, you know, the mom's kind of the decision maker of the household. So just being there to support whatever your kids and your husband want to do, I think is great.
That's a great point. If mom's not behind it, it's and especially if she's against it, it's probably not happening. Right? Yeah.
Definitely tough.
Absolutely.
Definitely tough. So we got moms covered. All right, Hunter, you get the next at bat here. We're saluting women today, folks, at the Hunt Nebraska cabin. This is in celebration of Women's History Month, but also just being able to get outdoors and all the women that make that possible. So, take it away, Hunter.
I've been a hunter and angler my whole life, but one thing I really didn't do too much of growing up was going out to state parks and enjoying them and checking them out. And I think my wife of almost a year now, one thing now that we're in Nebraska, we've already been to 3 state parks here in a few month period. And in Wisconsin, when we were there, we loved going to state parks. And I think that's one thing Tammy is kind of instilled in me, is getting out and enjoying the public properties that, you know, states, organizations have to offer. And I've really taken a liking to camping now, backpack camping and hiking through state parks and public properties where you can camp. So that's one thing kind of ties together. You know, we can go to a state park and go fishing, and I can enjoy what I like to do while also enjoying what she likes to do too. So that's been kind of cool.
All right, let's hear it for wives. Let's hear it for wives.
Take
yeah, there we go.
Yep.
I'm definitely for it. Now, you said you've been married for about a year now.
A little less, but
yeah.
Getting there.
Has anyone told you that the first year is the toughest? Because they're wrong.
They
are wrong. No,
what I wanna hear.
It kind of goes up and down, but it's great. Jackson, you've been married now for
We're almost at a year. We're
almost at a year
up to the
also.
anniversary, yep.
And Jeff, you share that in common. You've been married for
25 years now.
25 years.
Might be 26. Hold on, let me do the math. Carry the 1. 95.
While he's doing the math, I'll have been married for 23 years this June. And I've got to say that I'm pretty fortunate. My wife loves the outdoors. Camping. She absolutely loves to camp, and sometimes it's just to camp, just to get away, relax, read books, go on hikes, just listen to the birds sing while you're waking up in the morning, that type of stuff. But she also puts up with some fishing and hunting camps as well. Now, my wife does like to hunt certain things more than others nowadays, but definitely been a big benefit on my side. She helps keep me outdoors and definitely has been a big influence on our 2 kids as well. And Jackson, I got to say, just seeing the pictures and hearing the stories and knowing that your wife has kept you in venison this year.
Oh yeah.
I mean, this might be the model wife right now.
Yeah, she filled the freezer this last year, no doubt about it. Without her, we'd be buying a lot of beef.
You'd be drinking more protein in your coffees is what you'd be doing.
Yeah. She shot 4 this last year. So
she got a 4th. I know a 3.
Oh no, you're right. 3. Sorry, 4 total.
We don't talk about the 4th,
right? that was mine. We don't talk about that. But no, yeah, she has a blast with it. It's really been fun to watch. And you know, the funny part is she's not really a morning person. So we do this at least once a season where we're driving out there, and I'm like, you know, you don't have to do this. And she's like, no, I love this. Just give me give me 30 minutes. She's like, and about halfway through the car ride out there, she comes about.
Give me 30 minutes.
Yeah,
Get
yeah.
my
So-
game face on.
Because I'm a morning person. I wake up and I'm like, I'm ready to go.
You're kind of a morning person, a midday person, and I mean, you're pretty zippy just about all day long.
I guess mornings is where our
That's your
contrast,
shine. Yeah.
our
I was gonna
contrast strictly lies.
If I was to guess, and this is just a guess, I'd say mid to late afternoon is not the ideal time for
Yeah, I
Jackson.
kind of hit a little bit of a lull. That may be right.
Yeah, because you're waiting for that just before sunset time to really peak again and
Yep.
and whatnot. But that's kind of interesting. Well, let me tell you, if your significant other is not a morning person, I thought I had a smart idea on how to wake her up on those early morning duck hunts or turkey hunts. I figured I'd just flip the light switch on in the bedroom and walk out, because then I wasn't within arm's reach. I wasn't within tossing distance of the pillow either.
Yep.
It's not a great idea.
I was going to say, how's that working out
yeah.
for you?
Because she'll catch up to you.
Uh-huh.
She will. She will.
And probably won't forget.
No.
No, they don't forget.
Years from now, turn that light on.
Yeah.
I did not appreciate
Nope.
that.
We don't even have a light switch in the room now. But
How would you know? You're not allowed back. Oh, wives are, and I'm sure if it was a group of ladies, they'd be saying hopefully the same thing about husbands. But no matter what we do in life, if it works like it's supposed to, I mean, we're incredibly supportive of each other, right? I mean, that's our role. And so, if you guys aren't just the average hunter, you don't just happen to do it once in a while. You guys live this sport. I mean, you're out doing it just about every waking moment of every waking season that you can find. And so, at that level of hunting, it takes a significant amount of support. And regardless if they hunt with you or just support you doing it, someone's got to run the home front. Someone's got to make things happen and take care of business, and just certainly be okay with you being gone doing what you love. And when spouses recognize that this is so important to me, it's not a hobby, it's a lifestyle. It's something I got to do to be whole, to be who I am. When they recognize that, that's a special person. That's an important person.
Yep. Yeah, that's absolutely right. I've also heard a lot of, especially my friends say, when they first started dating a gal, that they kind of ease her into the craziness of how we hunt, or our hunting hobby, if you will, obsession maybe. With Katie, we had a talk, and this is what happens.
Now, I'm interested. At what point in the relationship did that talk start? Was it date one, or was it like, you don't invest that talk until you're pretty certain there's going to be a date 4, 5, and 6?
So we probably a little bit down the maybe date like 3 or 4.
But you laid it on the line, date 3. This is who I am.
Because it was so we started dating late June, and like July 4th is kind of like our dating anniversary that we use. But anyways, yeah. So hunting season was coming rapidly. It was coming up, and so
in July, he's already worried about it.
She needed to know right away what she was getting herself into, and if she was all right with it, we'll continue.
To be honest with you, Jackson, I just figured the two of you either met at the boat ramp or the check station, and
or the deer stand. Yeah.
Texted back and forth from the duck pit. All right, we might see each other.
Yeah.
She had taken hunter ed, and she'd shot shotguns a couple of times, but other than that, she really had little to no hunting experience, firearm experience. So
now let me ask you this: how big of an impact then has that been on your life to have a partner like that's diehard into it? Now she's pretty diehard.
Huge. I mean,
you may stop someday. She won't. I mean, I think
I
she'll go on for quite some time.
I would like to think so. Yeah. But it's dream come true. It really is. I mean, it's
cool. Very cool.
Yep.
So now, Jeff, I'm going to toss this out there. Your significant other kind of introduced you to some other
she
venues.
did.
I know you talked about it before.
Not really introduced me, but I had fished all my life as a kid. We started fishing when we were probably 4 or 5, and we went out to my uncle's farm ponds and fish and whatnot. And but I was very limited, and my fishing to me was putting worms or corn on a hook and catching bluegill. Now, we caught some big bluegill on these farm ponds. I didn't really know how big they were until I started fishing, in other places, and realized that those were some of the biggest bluegill the world probably has ever seen. And but that was kind of my limitation on fishing is doing that. And but I fished a lot. But then when I met my wife, I learned that she had grown up on a lake with a pretty diehard father when it came to outdoor hunting and fishing. and more fishing. He was a diehard, still is, loves to fish. But anyway, so she had fished a lot. She'd gone on, they'd take fishing trips and do a lot of that kind of stuff every year. And I had never done anything like that. But when I met her, I started learning things about the weather and the impact of the weather on fishing. And I remember to this day where I'd pick her up to go to a movie, and she'd, Jeff, storm's coming in tonight, they say, and I can feel it. She said, we can go to the movie, or we can go set some lines out down by the lake there. And I'm thinking, I got to marry this gal. And to this day, she likes to fish. And at this day, she likes to fish. But that was one of the things that really intrigued me about her, because she knew, and she knew how to use doll flies. I mean, she taught me how to use doll flies, taught me how to use the rapalas. And I had never fished with stuff like that. And mine was bait fishing, and she had taught me how to use a lot of lures. And I was just enthralled by this, wow, these things. And they worked. I mean, growing up, never even using Rapala, and then learning, going, date night was going to her place, going to the backyard and casting Rapalas in the evening for largemouth bass. And I learned a lot from her. I really did. And even to this day, when we go fishing, she'll act like we're still like when we were dating, like I don't know anything about it. If you do it this way, you'll probably catch more fish. I know what I'm doing. I'm catching enough fish this way, by God. And then turn it around and do it the way she did and start catching fish. So it's just, she intrigued me that way. I was one of the things that probably put the sparkle in my eye, because she really knew her stuff when it came to fishing. Now hunting, she hunted with me, but that wasn't near her thing in terms of knowledge base. That wasn't near her thing. I had done quite a bit more hunting, incredible amount more hunting than she had, but fishing, I was impressed.
So you could say she set the hook.
I won't toast to that, but
Nicely done.
But I tell you right now, when I met her, tackle box was not very big. Put it all in a little Snoopy box. After she and I had been dating for a few years, that tackle box had multiple trays, and now it's a big old bag that's got plastic boxes and everything in it, which she thinks I'm a little crazy on the other extreme now. But the bottom line is, I learned a lot about catching fish.
We tend to go to extremes. It's if I'm in, I'm in.
See, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
I can't just turkey hunt.
Yeah.
I've got to just become a turkey hunter in every sense. I mean, I've got to immerse myself in that.
See, hunter-gatherer. We hunt, and therefore we've got to gather some of the gear and the extra stuff we might need.
It's got to be where it came from. I got to think the people of my genes probably had not just one rock that they used, but they had a collection of rocks, like all kinds of rocks and stones and sharp, jagged stones. And, I got to think that was probably...
They're turkey rocks.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's Caveman Jeff was probably, we had a whole cave full of rock. Probably had another wing that we dug out in the back of the cave full of different rocks and spears and, fire starters. I mean, it was probably a big deal.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. All right. So we've got mothers, we've got wives. Where we go from there, Jackson?
Well, when we first brought this up, the first thing that popped into my mind was my grandmother. So,
nice.
So my grandpa was like my hunting mentor. All right. So it was always, the night before any opening season, we were spending the night at Grandma and Papa's house, and we'd get up in the morning, and Grandma always got up early, always had breakfast ready. It was like a full spread usually. It was, we were always sent off with a full stomach. She knew exactly where we were going, and there was always one thing before we walked out the door, and that was a picture. We always got a picture, and it's really, at the time I'm like, Grandma, we gotta go. Like, okay, all right, a picture. But now it's really, really cool to look back at those opening days, and when my uncle was in town, or it was always me and my grandpa, but sometimes with uncle and dad, and so to look back on those is really, really neat.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've got kind of my opening day pheasant crew traditionally started with my dad and his brother and cousins and all that type of stuff. And it's one of those things that, especially now as we start to lose some of those members, life moves down the road, and it's neat looking back at those and remembering those days. And it's amazing how many of those actually start without the pictures, kind of blend together.
Yep.
To be out there. And we'll have to talk about sometime, but as folks kind of go through some of the Alzheimer's or start memory loss, things like that, it's pictures of hunting and fishing that usually bring them back and allows them some clarity because they remember those times just looking at those pictures. So that's pretty cool. So
Grandma's
grandma's right there. Yeah.
Yes.
I got to say, they're some of the best cooks out there. Middle of the day, into the hunt. They support, like you said, getting up. I remember one guy that I met, last name was Redfern. Neat guy, but I much preferred his wife because she'd pack huge sandwiches for our duck hunts every time. And just, you couldn't have asked for something better. You couldn't have ordered anything that tasted better than those sandwiches. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. And the bacon and the eggs is always good, but my grandma made a cinnamon toast, and there was like a whole stick of butter on this cinnamon toast. And
As there should be.
That's the one
As
thing
there should be.
the one thing that's stuck in my mind.
Calories and fat and stuff like that don't count at grandma's house.
Well, and they don't count when you're hunting.
Exactly.
Little known fact.
About all the energy you're expending on your hunt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're sitting there, when you're sitting there just strenuously anticipating, you can't have enough butter.
You burn a lot of calories working that box call in the spring.
Oh my
You
gosh.
really do.
I've worn out an entire forearm working a box call.
You can't just call. You got to do it with passion. You got to do it with, so that does.
My wife knows when the dumbbells are sitting there by the couch, it's turkey season. It's getting ready to turkey season. And I can reach them. If I can't reach them from the couch, I'm in trouble. But if I get them close enough to the couch, I'm right there. Yeah.
So I've got an interesting take. My grandma's been, we would go up to their property to hunt deer and turkey every year. And she would make breakfast and meals for us in between our hunts and sits. And the other thing that, I'm just kind of thinking back that popped into my mind is she helped us find access. So they lived up in northern Wisconsin and, in a small community and lived up there full time. So just through conversations at her women's clubs and talking to the community, found permission for us to hunt some property.
Nice.
So, just a kind of a cool way that she's helped support us too.
That's too cool. That's
Never
awesome.
underestimate the power of women's clubs in getting access to hunt.
Right.
Or old guys, sitting around at the coffee shop. Those are great places. So, Hunter, you're the night before you go deer hunting.
Yep.
The inaugural meal that Grandma makes for you is what?
Chop suey.
Chop suey. That's a pretty non-standard one.
A Wisconsin tradition.
The Wisconsin bok choy, chop suey, whatever. It's all got to be good. I mean, Grandma knows how to make it, right?
Right. It's got to be a unique. I don't even think it's a Wisconsin tradition. I think it's a us tradition.
I don't think there's a whole lot of hunters going, can't wait for chop suey.
That is
deer
unique.
season and chop suey. So that's pretty darn good. That's cool. That's
Now,
unique.
is that a family tradition outside of the deer hunt? I'm kind of curious how Grandma came up with that tradition.
No, I think one year we had venison in the freezer, and she's always cooking up new recipes using what ingredients she has and made it, and it kicked. Everybody loved it, and it kind of kept on from there.
Kind of stuck. Because I've had some, traditional hunting meals, and I'm sure you all have. Chili. That seems to make an appearance every deer season. Yeah. Somewhere in there, especially that mid-November time frame. That's a standby. Now, I've also seen some meals and food eaten during a hunt that you just hope never see the light of day, much less become a tradition, such as swamp gravy. That's one that
until you try it, then you're like, oh, where has this been all my life?
It worked. I think that it was one of those things that when you're really hungry and you're kind of tired, the standard kind of changes just a little bit. But it's one that I'm glad was dark while we were eating it. And it's one I don't think you could recreate, though, even if you tried.
Interesting with the moonlight, how things look green in the moonlight. Just the weirdest thing.
I was hoping it was the green headlamp I had on, Jackson. It was not.
When you left, it was still green.
So maybe I'm lost here, but maybe our listeners are too. Can you describe for us as much as
probably
as
should?
Yeah.
So we're up in the Pine Ridge and we're deer hunting, and everybody has a night to cook or whatever, and the last night I know Dave, my brother-in-law, was supposed to do the biscuits and gravy, and now I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure he didn't bring the stuff for the biscuit or for the gravy.
He did for the biscuits,
but he did bring what was a block of dough that was not biscuits.
He swore was pre-cooked. All you had to do is kind of warm them up.
Yeah, and it was just a block of dough that had been sitting out for 3 or 4 days. And so we ended up making bread out of it. I mean, that's not too hard. Two big pots, one on top of the other with the dough inside the Dutch oven, right?
No, with this podcast, you got to specify dough or dough. a block of dough
Well,
is
yeah.
D-O-U-G.
Yeah.
In my head, I'm like, a block of dough.
Bread.
Okay, where are we going?
Yeah,
Bread.
bread. But the gravy, so we had to improvise on the gravy, and so, gosh, I'm not sure we could ever reproduce it again.
No, I'm not sure we could. There was sausage in it.
There was sausage. There was gravy. There was some
I think, gravy. There was some
vegetables,
potatoes.
some
I think every meal we had potatoes in it.
as there should be.
Yeah, I was gonna say nothing wrong with that.
That's right. That's right.
What was it though? But it was
There's
just
some
kind of a
vegetables in
combination.
it,
And
maybe a little bit, a shot of cooking sauces that we had there that would include brown sugar, bourbon, those kind of things. When it was all said and done, I use bourbon in a lot of my cooking and a lot of my marinades. I'm sure I splashed that in there too because, what the heck. But when it was all said and done, it had multiple textures and kind of one greenish hue to it and a pretty robust flavor.
yeah, it did.
And I have to say it was good. I mean, it's the kind of thing you'd look at in never in a million years. If you were at a restaurant, would you put a spoon into it? But there, it was like, well, this ain't bad.
It's that thing at the restaurant they don't put on the menu with the pictures and stuff.
No, that's not what they
You got to
or need
order.
to make it to the menu.
You got to order off the menu to get this. But I think there for a while too, we might have had the stove a little hot or something, so the bottom started.
Oh yeah, I got
kinda
nice and gooey,
crispy,
and crunched in the bottom there.
kind of
yeah.
like milk sausage does. Or,
Oh yeah, there was milk in there too. Yeah, for sure.
So it was definitely interesting. But
yeah, the
that's
milk
pretty
and
cool.
it all played off each other pretty well. You guys would have liked it. You'd have had a couple. If you'd have trusted yourself to one spoonful, which was the big hurdle, you'd have had a whole plate with biscuits. Had we had biscuits, but since we didn't have biscuits, we had a big glob of that little block of bread in a Dutch oven became that big of a block of bread, and you were just having to take off big chunks and put anyway. You get the picture.
I get the picture.
It wasn't bad.
Well, I appreciate you clearing that up for me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you, Jackson.
Thank you.
Anything else you want to know about our eating habits when we're hunting?
I'm good for now.
So moving on with our tribute to women and getting us outdoors and keeping us outdoors and all that stuff. This is one I'm going to toss out, and this is one that Jackson and Hunter, you guys might not be able to relate to yet. But I've got to say daughters.
Oh, I'm
going to
going right
say
there.
daughters right there.
Oh, heck yeah.
They're a great reason
Yeah.
to get outside, and they keep you motivated because there's one thing you guys can probably relate to is the fact that new hunters bring a little extra excitement to the whole event. Everything's new. Everything's different. They're taking it all in. And they're just kind of fun. Once you've done it this many times, there's just kind of neat having that extra energy and on every little things that you probably see sometimes is just kind of monotonous. I got to do that so I can be out here hunting and be successful, that they just eat up. And your own daughter kind of takes it to that next level because not only are they excited on the first hunts and they maintain that, but if you've got a good outdoor daughter, they oftentimes question it. And they oftentimes are give you feedback. Even though they might not have ever done it before, they're going to give you their perspective on it. But they are a lot of fun to be out and take into the woods. So
I couldn't agree more. I have to say that some of the most fun times in the field, when my daughter was younger especially, and we'd go squirrel hunting, and she only went pheasant hunting a few times, and I think it was right when our pheasant numbers were really starting to slow down in some areas of the state, and the areas that we hunted, they're definitely the case, and so it was a lot of walking without a lot of seeing, so therefore, that one I think kind of subsided for, but squirrel hunting, dove hunting, and turkey hunting became the thing that she and I really bonded over and had some great conversations. In fact, I can remember just about every one of those conversations. I can't remember what conversation I had with anybody last night even, but I can remember those conversations. And they mean a lot to me to this day because, there were times in life where there were different things going on in her life, and with this job, as you guys can attest, going constantly and back then maybe even at a different pace at times, but we didn't get a chance to talk and learn about who's doing what a lot of times, and all of a sudden time just stood still in the turkey blind, and I had to be cognizant of the fact that like your situation, she's not a morning person. Now, when I say my daughter's not a morning person, I think that if she could retaliate against morning, she would. She's just absolutely not. She's not just not a morning. She hates mornings. Okay, and so getting her up at 5:30 in the morning to march out to the turkey blind, not a problem. She did it, and we could do that turkey blind. And it wasn't after maybe 3 or 4 hunts that I realized, don't talk to your daughter until about 7:30. So we get turkey blind, let her relax, let her a little bit of nap, and all of a sudden we'd have great conversations, get some food and snacks going, and learned a lot about what was going on in her life, things that I wouldn't have learned about had I just not initiated that. And it's not like my daughter said, "Hey, Dad, let's go turkey hunting." It was me initiating it, but we had a ton of fun doing it. And then she went off to vet school, and it really got tight on time because she hasn't been around. But I'm hoping to start some of that up again here now that she's graduating here shortly and going to be coming back home. So hoping to start some of that up again because those were great times. Mm-hmm. Great times.
Well, I don't have a daughter of my own. This last season, one of my good hunting buddies, his daughter is, I believe, 4 or 5. We took her out hunting a couple of times, and that was an absolute blast. One of my favorite hunts, her first duck hunt. And yeah, he had her all, bundled up, and we basically had a small boat, and we put all the gear and her in the boat, and then we walked along the edge, and, the hunt didn't last very long, but, she, I shot 2 ducks, and I think about probably 8 o'clock. We'd probably been there for maybe 45 minutes. And she said, "Well, I'm ready to go back to the truck now."
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. We'll pack them up.
And Jackson's biting his teeth.
Yep. A little bit, but yeah, but it was fun. I mean, the simple things. She wanted to throw a decoy out. She wanted to take a picture with Nash and the 2 ducks afterwards. She obviously loved Nash, but my dog.
Oh yeah.
That
had a dog, and kids and dogs. That's perfect. Yeah.
But watching her kind of experience the first things, and she's got her own little duck calls, and really cool. Really
You're
cool.
gonna be a good dad. You're gonna be a good dad.
We'll see someday, maybe.
Pretty confident there. Pretty confident there. The one thing my daughter taught me is to slow down. And I was kind of, when I go hunting, a lot of times I'm kind of diehard about things. I am slowing down the older I get, probably in that regard. But certainly, poor thing, when she was young, I was pretty diehard about going out and getting turkey or going out and, getting whatever. And, she helped me realize that, Dad, it's not about going out and getting anything. Slow down, relax, and bring a blanket, just some food, enjoy life. And so I think that was good for me, because I think before my daughter I was getting really, really serious about hunting, and when my daughter was born and started going with me, I kind of shaved off some of the seriousness. It was more of a take time to relax, hear the birds, smell the air, and enjoy the hunt. And it was a good reminder, and I've continued that. I get excited about a lot of things when it comes to hunting, and shooting a critter isn't necessarily at the top of the list.
Yep.
No, that's an excellent point. I know, having let both of my kids do some calling in the spring turkey woods, my son tried to emulate what other folks were doing, including myself. My daughter just kind of walked to the beat of her own drummer and tried some very unique things you'd thought like, whoa, wait, and then you're just like, nah, let her go. Yeah. And had success with them, and had a lot of stories to tell of it, including a hen that flew down in the dark because she got so mad at Emma's nonstop calling long before they were supposed to fly down, and that hen hit the ground and just froze, just like, uh-oh. It's dark. It just froze.
Did not think this through.
So we got just a couple minutes left in this, and Jackson, we haven't gotten you your full due as far as who we're going to salute next. We've took the easy ones: moms, wives, daughters, and now.
Well, you're putting me on the spot here.
I know. This is good. This is good.
Well, I think we can go outside of the family now. I think we hit the easy ones, right?
Yeah.
We've hit the easy ones. You can start with cousins if you really want, but I think we've hit the easy ones. I think there's got to be, all of us have some women in the outdoors that we admire, that maybe we've never even hunted with, but we admire them, or they've taught us something maybe.
Well, kind of a cool thing that I've experienced in the last couple of years is couple of my best hunting buddies, and they're longtime girlfriends, now wives and fiancés, and they come out hunting with us. And so we've a couple of years now, we've done kind of a couples hunt, duck hunt.
Ooh,
and that's been
really
a blast.
Cool.
Yeah, that's been a blast. So yeah, we had one of the hunts, we had 4 couples in the blind. Which is a packed blind. 8 people, 2 dogs. It was.
That's cool.
That is cool.
That's cool. We need to do it. We need to get something out on that one. We need to put pictures on that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We didn't shoot the most ducks at all, but that wasn't what it was about. It was just a lot of fun hanging out, having everybody together. Some of the girls are more diehard than the others. Some weren't even shooting. There was one girl that she's just along for the ride.
Sure.
And she had a blast.
Yeah.
And so, that's been a lot of fun. I know that's definitely helped Katie kind of experience that with other women as well. Excuse me, but yeah, that's
the original social outing right there. Hunting.
Well,
I like that.
and like we said at the beginning, hunting especially, but even the shooting sports need some of that social support. They need enablers. They need the people to say, "Yep, you go do you," or here's some extra reason to go do you. I mean, that's huge. We need that more across all the activities that we have in the outdoors. So we're kind of winding down, but I do want to toss this out there. We've got a lot of gals, females, girls, women, whatever that we work with, whether they're in our own agency, organizations, outside that we work with, in the region, nationally, whatever. There's some very impressive, not only smart and very intelligent people out there, but very logical and love the outdoors and do an amazing job of getting others outdoors.
Absolutely. First one that came to mind when we started this, good friend of ours, Marilyn Benz, who oversees the National Bowhunter Education Foundation.
Yes.
One of the most diehard education proponents for hunting and hunting safety that we have out there. I get inspired by a lot of people. I get inspired by people I work with. I get inspired by people who work for me. But, Julie Geiser in our own agency, one of the, premier outdoor ladies within the agency who's, made it her life's goal to teach other women and so forth. Julia Plugi, right here on our own team, one of the best, I think, when it comes to organizing and coordinating these outreach programs and efforts to get more women involved. An outdoor woman in her own right, got her family involved in the outdoors and hunting and fishing and whatnot, continues to do so. And so, that list to me is we're blessed with a lot of ladies today that you hit the nail on the head, Hershey. Not only are they doing these outdoor pursuits, but they're giving back in a way that a lot of us never even could comprehend. I mean, they're really giving back in huge ways.
Well, a great example I've got, another one, Christy Christensen. So
Christy Christensen's another incredible example.
This last weekend, Pheasant Fest was in Omaha. And my buddy with his daughter, young daughter that I just talked about, he brought her to Pheasant Fest, and they walked past the archery booth, and he's like, in his head, he's like, well, she's probably too young to do it at this point. And I'm not sure how exactly this went down, but Christy basically grabbed his daughter and was like, no, you're going to come up here and shoot.
And she loves doing that.
Hey, oh, yeah, absolutely.
That's her passion.
Christy loves it, and my buddy, Ben, he said his daughter talked about it. That was her highlight of the event, and she talked about it the whole way home.
That's cool. I would say Christy Christensen is probably one of Nebraska's, at least our Game and Park's first lady of bow hunting. I mean, she has probably forgotten more about bow hunting in the last week than most guys will ever know. That's just, but she loves taking the things that she normally does every day of her life and helping people who dream about those things but never have figured it out, never have tried maybe even, and showing them just how fun and simple these things. And, oh, by the way, here's some cool tricks of a lifetime of learning that I can share. Yep. She's great at that.
We've been pretty fortunate. We've got a lot of strong women in our lives and our jobs, and allow us not only to do what we're able to do, but also strengthen that. I mean, that's pretty cool. I also think of some of the others outside the agency. One, Janice Spica, which I think she can probably spin an outdoor yarn better than anybody else.
She's one in a million. One in a million.
She is something else. And, again, we go back to some of the professionals, our biologists on both the fish and wildlife side, our park superintendents. We are blessed here in Nebraska to have a lot of gals. But, guys, we're going to have to give it quits here because, Jeff's okay. It's Jackson whose protein coffee is just about out. In fact, I think we've got to go into a meeting with some of these gals. So I guess we'll put the ribbon on it right there, Hunter. And until next time, make sure you give us a like on Hunt Nebraska. But until then,
Hunt Nebraska, brought to you by your Nebraska Game and Parks Commission.